Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dreams of owning a home or investing in one. Well, I hate to say I told you so. Well, actually, no, I don't. I did mention when I was talking about crowdfunding many years ago that you should ask questions. Well, here it is, 2024. And one particular crowdfunding site or crowdsourcing site, Crowdstreet, is now facing or could be facing a lot of trouble. So here's what it is. There was a company that they let advertise their properties on. It's called Nightingale Company, and Elie Schwartz is the president or CEO of that particular company, right? Now, what they did was, instead of taking the money from the investors and putting it into an escrow account until the deal closed, the money was put directly into their account and no deal was done. A deal was presented, but they didn't close on the deal. So that means that they didn't own the property like they promised the investors that they would. So now they say it's estimated to be $3 million that they took from the investors. Needless to say, so this has made the courts. There's been actually an arbitration claim that was made with the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, and they're not only want $3 million in damage, but they're also seeking an injunction to stop CrowdStreet, to do away with that platform altogether. CrowdStreet says they don't feel as though that they are responsible. They feel as though the investors should have done their own due diligence. Well, listen, guys, here's the thing. I have to remain objectionable, right? Because even though they're weighing in on how this should happen, right, there are still certain details that I may not be aware of. But here is my experience with CrowdStreet. First of all, CrowdStreet, you have to be an accredited investor. So the very first time that I went to them, I was not accredited. So because I was not accredited, I was not accepted. However, I proceeded to ask questions anyway. I wanted to know how they vetted their people, and also when it came to due diligence, like how much of it do they do? Because they actually did claim that there was a certain amount of due diligence that they did do, right? And I was really surprised and not happy with what they said that came back. They don't check to see if a person has ever committed any fraud before. They don't check to see the financial status of the person that is putting their deal on play. And that's why I backed up and said, you know what? No. There are people that I did know that at the time they were accredited investors and they were making good money on CrowdStreet. That's one of the reasons why I sought them out. But even though I didn't qualify, I knew that one day I would. So I said, well, since I have you guys on the phone, let me ask you these other questions. Because at that time, I had been scammed. And when you've been scammed once, really more than once, you try your best not to get scammed again. Okay? You try your best to do and gather all the information that you need before proceeding. So I really didn't like that about them. And one can say, well, you did that. Maybe the other investors should do it. I still have some sympathy for the other investors because I never thought to ask, where does the money go once the investor gives you the money? I made the assumption that the money would go into escrow because some of the other, not all, but some of the other crowdfunding platforms do put the money in escrow. Like the one that I'm in, they do put that money there. And then once the deal closes, then it's dispersed out. They also make sure that, well, this is what they told me, but I do the research myself. I double check anyway to make sure that the name of the company is actually on the appropriate documents, like it's on the deed at least, or it's on the contract for the deal at least. They do make that effort, okay? But I know that many other crowdfunding platforms don't. Some crowdfunding platforms, they don't even go and check to make sure that the property even exists. Some do, some don't. The one I'm in, they do. They're located all over the country. They have somebody that drives out to the location of that property that is on the deal to make sure that it exists. There's another company that I also found. Now, they don't invest everywhere. Actually, there's two companies. One is Texas and the other one is Pennsylvania. Again, they drive out to the property to make sure that the property exists. To make sure that there is an actual house or a business or whatever it is, they make sure that it is there. But I don't think Crowdstreet does that, to be honest with you. And see, here's the thing. So many people, they go and they see that somebody else made money and they say, oh, somebody else made money on that platform. I'm just going to go on that platform because I'm going to make money just like them. No, with every single deal, do your research. With every single deal, do your background check. Even if the crowd fund says that they do due diligence, even if they say they run background checks, some of them don't run many of them don't run any background checks on the people doing the deal. Many of them will only verify that the name is on the paperwork or that the property exists. So yes, some fault is with the investors, but I'm not going to put all of the blame with the investors because most platforms will put the money in escrow. They will not put the money directly into the people's accounts. And that, my friends, is a big issue. And from, reading other articles, they said that they actually want and are looking for $53 million in total. So $3 million plus $50 million for other, I guess, incidentals and also for misappropriating funds. But the lawyer, they say they doubt very much if, even though this is what the people are owed and this is what they want back, they doubt very much if this particular person, the Nightingale Company, has the money to pay these people back. Because they already spent the money. Most scam artists are horrible with money. If you give them money and you go back to them tomorrow and say you want your money back, you change your mind, they don't have it. They already spent it. And in this particular case, one of the lawyers said that they know that these people are going to jail for what they did, which is great, which is actually great. Now, what they are looking at, though, is they are looking at the assets of the CEO, Mr. Schwartz. They're looking at the properties that he owns. But even though he owns a mansion and a penthouse, and they're going to seize them and sell them, they're not sure if they're going to be able to make that amount of money. They're not sure if they're going to be able to divvy that money up and give it to all of the investors, because let's face it, the attorneys get paid first. Hello. The courts the courts got paid, because in order to file a claim, let's face it, you can't just walk up in there for free. They make you pay for that. They make you pay for the filing, right? And they probably also hired investigators, because a lot of people don't put stuff in their own name. And they're probably trying to see if he has any other assets in different names and trying to pull that money out just to see if they can get as much money as they can for these investors. But yeah, so Crowdstreet, I don't know how long they are going to last. Put in the comments, though, if you think it's fair, if you think that, Crowdstreet didn't necessarily dupe these people per se. Nightingale, the company, pretty much duped Crowdstreet and the investors. But the investors expected a certain performance from Crowdstreet, but they didn't ask the questions. So who's at fault here? Is Crowdstreet completely innocent, do you think? Or do you think their hands are a little dirty? And I want to also, I'll have to leave a link to the guy that brought this to my attention. I did not want to bring it up before it came to court. I wanted to wait until it came. I like to wait until things, come to court, or after it goes to court. Because sometimes when you jump on something too early, there's a lot of information that is missed, right? So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I waited until it got to this particular point. All right. But yes, the SEC is definitely involved in this particular situation. But I want you to also note, just because the SEC is involved, the financial industry's regulatory authority is involved, that doesn't stop people from being a con. And unfortunately, that doesn't always mean that if you are conned, that you're going to get your money back. We got to be so careful. All right, guys. So that's all I wanted to share with you. Hopefully the information will help you make smart financial moves. Feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.